Hi everyone, I'm WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg, and this is Wake Up Weather on ABC7 NY and For Weather or Not, sponsored by TD Bank. Well, after that nice interruption over the weekend where we had the lower humidity come in and we shut down the storm chances, we're right back to our regular programming with the high humidity and off and on storm chances as we get into another unsettled week. I know that sounds like we're going to have lousy weather all week. That's not the case. It's just that we're going to have some rounds of showers we're going to have to deal with, but there will be windows, which is dry, warm, and humid and typical summer weather you get outside and enjoy, although it can be uncomfortable as the heat builds second half of the week. But overall, I'll be timing out some occasional storm chances. In terms of the heat, because of cloud cover and an off and on chance of showers, we're going to see our temperatures held down closer to normal, which is still middle 80s, and then we get closer to that 90-degree mark as we go through the latter half of the week and right into the weekend. Parts of the area could get into another heat wave starting Thursday, and it will be steamy this weekend. And we'll get into afternoon storm chances second half of the week. The tropics, I will show you an area of low pressure interacting with a tropical wave that could become our next depression later this week. It's definitely a candidate to be named Debbie down the road. When we look at that muggy meter, we get out of that comfort that we had over the weekend, and I think those dew points are hovering in that 70-degree range much of the week. There's a window on Thursday where some maybe 65-degree dew point air may try to get into our northern suburbs, and maybe it doesn't feel as humid. But remember, that's going to be a hot day around 90. So, you're really splitting hairs there. I don't think you're going to perceive it as much more comfortable on Thursday, even though some dry air starts to work in, and then we'll just be tropical right through the upcoming weekend. It does look like some dry air comes in by early next week. So getting into our futurecast and looking at Tuesday morning, there shouldn't be much left from any evening showers we had on Monday. There might be a stray shower east of New York City. So Long Island, where we actually had some flooding issues on Monday, we might have some leftover showers to start the day on Tuesday. During the day on Tuesday, I actually don't see much of a trigger for widespread storms, so that should be clouds giving way to a mix of clouds and sunshine, middle 80s, high humidity, pretty good breeze out of the south, so south-facing shores will be closer to the 80-degree mark, and then in the afternoon, a few spotty storms may start to develop, especially to the west in inland areas, and then during the evening hours, again, a couple of spotty showers around. The storms that probably become more numerous actually show up late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So this could be an issue for the Wednesday morning commute with some heavier downpours that come in during the morning hours. I think the morning's more active than the afternoon, but north and east of New York City, there still could be a scattered thunderstorm into the afternoon hours, whereas south and west, we probably quiet down a little bit. That disturbance lifts up into New England later Wednesday, and by Thursday, we've got a pretty hot day, but there's enough dry air around that I don't think the thunder threat is very strong. Could there be an inland spotty storm? Yes, but I think that's just going to be a dry, rather hot day, and the humidity still on the high side. Maybe it gets knocked down a little bit, especially north and west of New York City. So again, after that stormy start on Wednesday, we've got a little bubble high pressure moving in on Thursday. Technically, a little cool front has moved down to the south. It's not bringing any cooling, but maybe it brings in a little bit of drying, enough that it diminishes the storm threat. That front, though, lifts back to the north on Friday, so we're steamy again, and thunder shower chances are bubbling up in the afternoon hours. Once we go into the weekend, same idea. There's not much of a difference in setup. This front is kind of meandering around the area, so we'll go sun, clouds, and then afternoon storm threats. Something I still want to address all week long. I know you've been hearing about the wildfires out west, especially Chico in Northern California, and all the smoke that's been going into the northern Rockies, plains, and even into the Great Lakes. We even had a little episode of haze throughout the weekend. It was barely noticeable. But once we get into the week, we're going to watch an area of that wildfire smoke predominantly aloft just off to our west on Thursday. So remember, we were talking about maybe some of that dry air coming in on Thursday and at least the sky getting a little bluer. Well, something that could change that would be if we see this band of some heavier smoke start to get in aloft and make our skies a little hazier looking. So we will monitor that for later in the week. Looking beyond the 7-day, remember, we're going to an above normal stretch starting mid and late week on Once we get in the period of the 5th to the 11th, still a signal for above normal temperatures, although some near normal temperatures may follow after that once we get into the middle of August. So I'm not seeing extreme heat, but we certainly have a chance to sneak another heat wave in there starting late week into this upcoming weekend, and then we'll stay normal to above normal in the upper 80s as we go into the 7th, maybe near normal once we get to the 8th of August. In terms of precipitation, right now the signal is for above normal precipitation. Monsoonal flow out west, near normal in the middle of the country, and for us, suggested to be a little above normal. Remember, we're looking at that tropical moisture potentially down south coming up this weekend. Not sure whether the storm comes northward, but does some tropical moisture piggyback a front coming through? That's always a possibility, so I think we're going to have our precipitation chances. And obviously, I talked about the afternoon threats that we'll have moving forward this week. Right now, looking at rain chances, I think that late Tuesday night and the first half of Wednesday is our best chance this week. And then you're looking at afternoon chances Friday through the upcoming weekend, not so much as we go into Monday. Let's look at that wave I was talking about in the tropical Atlantic. We've had a lot of African dust working through the tropical Atlantic, which is definitely kind of choked off storm development as of late. This disturbance doesn't look particularly impressive at this point, but it's going to interact with a tropical wave. Right now, that disturbed weather has the opportunity to become a tropical depression mid or late week. The Hurricane Center is putting it at a 50% chance of development through 7 days. In the next few days, not really thinking about much development, but that development zone may go into the Caribbean, it may be toward Hispaniola, and ultimately toward the Bahamas. Here's some of the low-level spin that we're looking with that storm and a depiction of a more organized circulation over the weekend somewhere over the Bahamas, maybe a threat for Florida or the southeast coast of the United States. One thing, just looking in the long term into early next week, there is a dip in the jet stream coming in late in the weekend into early next week. If that's the timing, that would be some nice protection for us. So either it would force the storm to go into the southeast U.S. or maybe help it recurve. I mean, it was still a ways away, a week out from that, but I like the idea that at least we have some jet stream energy, some steering winds coming in with a little trough to help steer that away from us. But we'll have to watch it very closely. And again, so some of that moisture we would be vulnerable to. 7 in the morning on your Tuesday. Partly to mostly cloudy and muggy. There might be an isolated shower east through the day. It's a mix of clouds and sun. In any given spot, there's only a 10 or 20% shot of a scattered storm later in the day into the evening hours. Your high's 84. There is a pretty good breeze, by the way. So again, south-facing shores closer to 80 with clouds and sunshine and just a spotty afternoon storm. Air quality's moderate. Pollen count on the immediate side. The UV index will be at an 8. Now, tomorrow night, any storms in the first part of the night, if you have any evening plans, would be very spotty. Not so concerned about that. Once we go through the overnight, those storms may tend to get more numerous, especially toward dawn on Wednesday. And that may be my biggest concern window for the week would be Wednesday, first half of the day. We could be most active with some heavy showers and thunderstorms, and that could impact the Wednesday morning commute. The afternoon, storms would just be scattered about. We're about 86 degrees. We're heating up on Thursday. We're at 91. The storm threat fairly minimal for the first day of August. And then these are afternoon threats. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. Looks like enough dry air may try to get in here on Monday and minimize any storm threat. And when I say that dry air, that's associated with that trough in the jet stream I was talking about that, again, could play a role in how it steers that tropical system if it does indeed form. So lots to talk about this week. Please keep tuning in to whether or not. This is, of course, your AccuWeather forecast, which you can always get on ABC7 24/7, ABC7 NY. And again, we hope to see you on whether or not next time, rain or shine.